This is number 5 out of 6, and we're really pleased. This is a kind of an unusual thing because most of our seminars deal with the items that are of interest to us from within the United States. And this is different because we're dealing with Ralph Pollack, the master of the Caribbean, the guru of the chips of the southern part beyond the United States, and he has put together a very nice PowerPoint presentation for us today. He's agreed to not let it run longer than 3.5 hours. I think that's right. And what we do try and do with these seminars is no questions until Ralph is done, because sometimes questions lead to discussions, which leads to it not finishing when it's supposed to. And the second thing we'd like to ask you to do is, if you're going to ask a question at the end, you're going to need to be recognized, you're going to need to stand up, and you're going to need to speak as loudly as you can. And if Ralph is here rather than I, Ralph is going to try and repeat the question, because we are putting it on audio and video, and in order to know when Ralph says, "You don't want to do that," and you don't know what the question was beforehand, the person who watches the CD 3 months from now is going to go, "You don't want to do what?" So if you ask a question when we take questions and answers, please speak loudly and clearly, and Ralph will repeat the question. Ralph, without further ado, Ralph has got a PowerPoint and a pointer and a thing, and if it all fails, I know where the forward button is on his computer. Ralph?
Thank you very much. I want to thank Shelley and also the club for inviting me to speak. Thank you very much. Also would like to thank, in case some of you leave early, Jim Blanchard for his timeless help, Howdy Hers. This could not have been put together without it. I'm going to start with 50 years of gaming. We all know that gaming in Puerto Rico and in Cuba started prior to that. Chips were there prior to that. However, there are no written records of orders from that period of time. So I'm going to present facts here and also some information that I've gathered over the 10, 12 years of collecting Caribbean chips, that I've spoken to hundreds of pit bosses and owners and managers of the casino. So without further ado, I'll start. The Caribbean region, you know, you read books and some say Lesser Antilles, Greater Antilles. It gets very confusing, but the West Indies basically is actually the entire Caribbean area, the West Indies. Includes part of South America, Central America, Yucatan Peninsula. The Greater Antilles goes in the arc from Cuba to Dominican Republic. The Lesser Antilles goes to another arc from Puerto Rico to Aruba. It's a rather small chart, but it's an old West Indies map from the early 1900s. This is a little bit more modern, showing the arc of the islands. There are small islands, the Grenadines are there, which there is a casino there, etc. I won't go through all the casinos of every single island. There's not enough time, but I'm going to go through the very interesting areas. My favorite 2 people to follow over the past years, I call the dynamic duo, Jake Kozloff and Clifford Jones. Jake was a brewery master in Pennsylvania initially, then he owned part of some casinos in Nevada, and Clifford Jones was twice the lieutenant governor of Nevada. Both Jake and Cliff were involved in gaming in Aruba, the Aruba Caribbean, Holiday Inn, Antigua, Curacao, St. Martin, Quito, Ecuador, I'll get into that later on, and Suriname. And a lot of their chips, which is very unique, bear their initials, CJJK, or there's one chip that has the initials JKCJ. I also collect the dice with their logo. These are some of the chips from the dynamic duo. Number 1, most of them are gorgeous. The parrot from the Aruba Caribbean, the Memora Beach is the blue one in this area here. He started that in '65. They're very, very pretty chips from the region. Let's go to an original order card from the West Indies, South America, courtesy of the Burt Company, courtesy of Jim Blanchard, and it has the exact dates of the order. It's 1963. These are the chips exactly that match the inlays and the order card. Sometimes it's tough to find these chips, but the fun is in the hunt. And by the way, I love the hobby. And there are so many nice people in this hobby that the friendship will last a lifetime, and I think it's very important, at least to me. This chip over here is JKCJ Casino. I can only surmise it was in Suriname, because that's where I got it. I flew over there, and it came out of the vault. Someone found it in Suriname. The only chip of its kind that has that initial. I was lucky enough to purchase the original artwork, and that's about a 5-inch diameter artwork, which is done by hand, and then it's compressed, and most of the inlays were made by Silcox, S-I-L-L-C-O-C-K-S. There's a Miller's, and there's some other people that made the plastic inlays for the Burt Company. There's some of the dice that have CJJK on it. It's very difficult to see, but ARUBA Caribbean, just generic CJJK, and Little Bay Casino, which is down here. And this comes from Pete Lowell's book on dice dies, and Pete Lowell is here today. Thank you, Pete. I was lucky enough. For some reason, I found a cigarette lighter saying J. Kozlov, and those who can't read it says ARUBA Caribbean, and the opposite side of the same lighter says Quito, Ecuador. So both casinos were opened in 1959, Quito, Ecuador in 59, and the ARUBA Caribbean in 1959. Bud Sweet. Bud Sweet was instrumental in opening casinos in Bonaire, and this is a very, very beautiful chip here with a sailfish on it. He's also credited with opening the Intercontinental Casino in Curacao from 1959 to 1965. And then he opened up the Curacao Hilton. And these are his chips, FJS Floyd J. Sweet. I spoke to Bud, and he was the one to give me this chip, so I'm forever very grateful to him. But however, sadly, he passed away this past year. Anybody hear of the Natum Casino? N-A-T-U-M? Well, he opened a casino, Bud Sweet, in the Dominican Republic in 1965. I was able to obtain this HCE chip, non-negotiable chip, and what Jerry Hade told me was that Bud Sweet would take that chip on your left-hand side, and he would counterstamp on there Bonaire or Curacao. A similar Christian Jones chip here was counterstamped with a gold Curacao Hilton. And they used this chip that was labeled interchangeably in the different casinos. Things get more complex later on. Richard Hart, the Lieutenant Governor presently of the island territory of Bonaire. Richard started in Aruba at the Hart Casino, which was the Sheraton Casino. In Curacao, he did the Plaza, the Hilton, and this is another Hilton chip. And he also had his logo, which some of you can see. There's a circle here, which is a roulette wheel, and the two squares represent dice. I called up Richard Hart and I said, "Where'd you get the logo from?" He says, "Well, I had it made in Philadelphia." And then I asked him, of course, what those symbols were, and that's what he told me. Anybody here of Arthur Fromer? Well, Arthur Fromer had a casino in Curacao, but oddly enough, the logo on that casino is the same logo here. So we know that Richard Hart had part of that casino. Jerry Hade, who's alive and well in Queens, New York, I saw him 2 weeks ago. He operated the Casino Bonaire. These are the chips that he ordered at that time and used at that time. Then he went from Bonaire to Curacao to run the Holiday Inn Casino. At that time, it used to be CRE, which is Casino Real Estate, and then later on, it became Casino Royale. Of course, the dynamic duo later on took over that casino. So you'll find out that Bud Sweet, J. Kozlov, one started a casino, one closed it, the other started again. So the chips and everything else is dated, and that's how we know what casino started, where and when, and who ordered what. This is Jerry Hade, alive and well. He's got a wealth of information. Arthur Fromer Casino. I was there 3 days before they ripped down the housing of that casino. And it's rather small, but these are the slot machines that have stayed idle there for 15 years. They were U.S. quarters and, of course, those dollar coins. This was the back of it, and it was right next to a pool, and then 3 days later, everything was demolished for new construction. Interesting. You won't be able to read this from where you are, but this Starfish logo is seen in the Condado Beach Hotel in Puerto Rico. It's seen at the ARUBA Caribbean in Aruba. And if one can read in the front, the executive offices, et cetera. So let's remember the executive house hotels, because they also were involved with the hotels in Suriname, the Tororica Hotel. So now you can combine items and chip designs and inlay designs with one company, which is Executive House Hotels. I'm going to start alphabetically, and then we can go on into the Caribbean. Antigua, Cliff and Jake opened this casino in 1966, and they did not use the CJ/JK chips. I have no clue why not. I just don't know. But what history does tell us is, and thanks to Jim Blanchard, these chips were ordered in 1965, and through reading all kinds of material, the Memorial Beach, I'll read it, the Memorial Beach Hotel was built in 64 to 65, and it was the first site of a casino on the island of Antigua of a cost of $2 million. The casino owners gave $60,000 at that time for a 1 year's concession, which balanced the island's budget without asking the United Kingdom for money. Antigua also had the Castle Harbor with the HCE molds, and these are the chips associated with the original order cards, 1975. So we know when the casinos opened up. There are no written records around, but these orders and Caribbean books give us the tie of history. This is one of the prettiest chips that was ever made by the Burt Company for H.C. Edwards in 1959. The dice bear also, like I showed before, CJ/JK, which you can't see very well, but the tie between the two is evident. On the brochure, original brochure of the ARUBA Caribbean, look at these chips. They are the H.E. Mason mold, which I never thought was around and probably isn't around. They probably use this for advertisement purposes in their brochure prior to the opening and prior to ordering the HCE mold. Anybody has information later on why they use these for the Mason? I think it was just a sample. This is the original photo of the casino in 1959 of the ARUBA Caribbean. Classically, in the old casinos, the slot machines were on the walls. They built wooden shelves, and the slot machines were there, and these are the HCE chips, Doug. Interesting. Holiday Inn Casino. Started by Jake Kozlov, CJ/JK, original order card, 1969, when the Holiday Inn opened up. They also made a chip, Cinco, C-I-N-C-O, for the Spanish or South American Spanish-speaking people, and the order card is also here for matching that chip. Now we'll get into some interesting here. King Casino, let's look at these chips with the nice tree design and order card of 1975. Now we have something that is only generic to my knowledge to the King Casino. There is the order card for Herman King, 1974. The chip is $1,000 value. Then we have down here Bobby Borges, Lee Bullington, Herman King, Frank King, Herman King, Frank King, and I left out McCarley's name because I don't have that chip. Now, I'll leave it to discussion afterwards. Why were these chips made in the $1,000 denomination? Let's ponder about that later on. But these were not chips given away to high rollers, period. The Americana had a very interesting type of chip made. Some people say that it came from the H.C. Edwards. It's a double broken circle mold, which is a chip which is plastic, literally plastic inside. Some are green plastic, some are orange plastic, some are lighter color plastics. That's the edges. And these are the chips that we believe that the H.C. Edwards made in 1975. They are very lightweight. They don't look like they're very durable. They have a metal wafer inside of it. I don't think they were rarely used. Bud Jones infused chips from 1975 were the ones used on the tables. The little sign here is a collector's item. The American Numismatic Association had a meeting in Aruba after their ANA meeting in the United States, and they gave each attendee one of these $1 chips, which was mounted in a plastic mounting. And that meeting was in 1976. Whether these chips were used on the tables or not, I can't answer it. The usual chips are the $1 white, the $5 salmon, the light green 25, and the black. I did happen to get a darker green variation, which I haven't seen since. Let's go to Bahamas. Bahamian Club. Now we know when that club ordered their chips in 1960. And the chips from the Langworthy, made by Burt Company, for Langworthy and Company in 1960. And then we don't have records of the hot stamp ones. We only have records of the inlays which the Burt Company made. Interestingly enough, the denominations are $25, which matches this one exactly, $100 one, and a 20-pound one. So if anybody has one, I'd love to see it. Now, let's talk about graphics for a minute. The new Bahamian Club came in after the Bahamian Club, and the order card says 1965 on it, and 66. Well, matching, how do I know which center inlay goes with which chip and which order card? Well, if we look at the inserts here, we can again compare the inserts with the chip, both made by Burt Company for BC Wills, but this chip corresponds to this order card because of the small key and the inserts, and the large key has the double inserts, quarter-inch inserts. So these two chips are contiguous with these order cards. Not always easy to find. This is the original artwork of the New Bahamian Club. It's a work of art. It's about a 5-inch diameter, hand-painted piece of art, which they would then bring down to, I think, 7/8 inch. Is that right, Jim? 7/8 inch diameter. So everything by hand, if there was a slight little error, you'd never see it if it was reduced from 5 inches to 7/8 of an inch. I put this new casino in here just because I just recently got these chips. It's one of the outer islands of Bahamas. It's at Emerald Bay, and GPI made these chips. They're very nice chips and very nicely made. Bonaire, Bud Sweet opened the casino in 1965. The original chips were the HCE chips on your right-hand side, 1965. They're gorgeous chips again. The artwork with the flying sailfish is just, I think, beautiful. And that's part of the hobby that we have. We have gorgeous history and gorgeous designs that were made. This was the HCE mold, and then later on in the 70s, the Ewing mold was used for the new owners of the casino. This, I just want to go to Bonaire. After the Casino Bonaire closed, it stayed idle for many years. Then the Black Coral took it over in 1984, and it lasted about 4 years, and that closed, and it's been permanently closed since. The only casino that's been continuously open since 1984 is the Flamingo, Divvy. They are literally on the beach. The only thing that separates the beach from the casino is a little sidewalk, concrete sidewalk. And these are the chips from the original ones here, and these are the newer ones now. A new casino opened up in 1996. I went over there, and these were the Bud Jones chips that were made at that time, and it closed in 2005 when I was in Aruba. I heard it from February 28th. Bango closed for good. Bonacino Casino. In Aruba, there was the Aracino Casino. And the owners of the Aracena Casino are the operators who I spoke to, most of them, Chico DeCourt, who was nice enough to give me at that time the $100 chip. But when they closed down the casino in the Aracena Casino in Aruba, then they went to Bonaire, and instead of making new chips, they used the Aruba chips. Why spend more money? They had the chips. They opened up a casino in Bonaire, and that closed in 1979. Very short-lived. Cuba. Everybody likes Cuba. Very, very lack of information from that country. The amount of chips with the original order cards. Thank you, Jim Blanchard. The HC mold, a very, very pretty chip. And now we know that in 1958, these were ordered. And the dice, I collect dice also, and the dice have the logo that's similar to the logo on the chip. And there was a reorder number after that in August of 1959, and I think we all know that, I think this in the last day of December of 1959, somebody by the name of Castro came in and closed the casinos. Sans Souci, gorgeous artwork. It's the Mason mold, but the artwork is great, and this is a crust and seal chip, and the order cards are from 1954 and 1957. In Cuba again, Casino de Capri. Well, we know George Raft was part of that. And the original order cards of 1957, these were the 57 issues, and then he made his own for himself in 1958. And they're very pretty chips. There's an airplane right in the center of that chip. Good old George. Capri Casino. 1959, so we know that this casino had orders of 500, 1,500, 1,000 chips. But in 1959, when it was ordered in May, they had only 7 months left before the casino closed. So those Cuban collectors, like I am, know how many chips there are, and we know where they are somewhere, and they'll sprout up. The logo here is the same logo as on the of the dice as a chip inlay. Curacao. In 1966, what people can't read over here, but so I rewrote it over here, Princess Beatrix of Holland opened up this casino at the grand opening, and Berand, B-E-R-A-N-D, Hazelager, had this hotel. So he opened a hotel in 1966. That was the Flamboyant Beach Hotel. Today it's the Princess Hotel. It changed names, and I'll go back and go in a few minutes there. But this is a casino from the water view, right on the beach. Here we have the Franklin Mint tokens on top, the proof tokens that all of us know of. We all have them or know where they are. But the bottom one is a bronze type token. This is the $1 token, which is the size of a regular $1 token. Then they have a 50-cent token. Then they have a 25-cent token. They have a 10-cent token. The 10-cent token is about as light as a feather. How it could be used in a machine, I have no clue. If it was used, I don't know, but that's the history of that casino. However, it gets more complicated. Okay, we got Clifford Jones here now. October 1967, the order of the chips were made from the Burt Company. They're very regal chips, they're very beautiful chips, but now we got some dates to worry about that don't make exactly sense, but we'll have to just take what we can. So 67 here, and going back, the Flamboyant Beach from the Franklin Mint, the top coins were stamped 1968. Hello? So they must be the order of the Hazelager HI, it was Hazelager, and Flamboyant Beach. So when Jake took it over, those tokens were in use at that time. The same property turned hands and became the Sands of Curacao in 1972. The artwork is pretty nice with the island of Curacao on it and the order cards of all the chips. Plus on the bottom I have the whole series except one chip that's missing is the $100 chip with yellow 1/4-inch inserts. I have never seen it before, but there's the order for it, 1,000 of those. The fun is in the hunt. Hotel Curacao was at the Intercontinental Hotel, which Bud Jones opened up, and they used the Burt Company made for H.C. Mason Company, the Mason mold. Canadian Pacific was the owner of that hotel at the time. Previously, it was called the Intercontinental Hotel. Why Canadian Pacific got involved with it, I don't know. Why did American Airlines get involved with the Americana Hotel in Aruba in 1975? I don't know, but they did. The nice HCE mold chips from the Hotel Intercontinental, the order date was 1964, and that's when Bud Jones also was involved with the casino opening at that time. Not Bud Jones, Bud Sweet, I'm sorry. Curaçao Real Estate, as I mentioned before, the owner of the Curaçao Real Estate also owned all the Holiday Inns in Aruba, Bonaire, St. Martin, etc. Now, this is a copy of a letter sent to Jerry Hade by Curaçao Real Estate by the man called Mr. Jezrun, and it's a signature on the bottom, and it's very small print, but I'll interpret it. They say they're the owners of the casino, of the hotels in Aruba, Bonaire, and other parts of the West Indies. So now we know who owned the hotels. CRE did. There were a group of people headed by Jezrun. We didn't know this information beforehand, but every paperwork ties things together. Now, anybody know this chip? Anybody see this chip? I have it in it's Casino Republican Dominicana. It's the initials here, LVD. Through some research that I took, it means La Vaz Dominicana. The microphone here in the center, it was a radio station, a radio television station that doubled as a casino. Hello? But that's one of the original chips from the 1950s. Dominican Republic, again, gorgeous looking chip. Everybody here at the Chantilly Casino? What a nice chip. And it was 1966. We know that there's gaming prior to that in Dominican Republic, but there are no real written records or order cards. Again, with the Dominican Republic, we have the Jaragua Casino, which has the 1975 order from the Burt Company made for H.C. Edwards. Thank you, Jim. What we don't know is down here, there are gorgeous crescent seals that probably date to the 40s. So we know that that type of chip was used in the 40s. The chip over here is another HCE mold, but with a hot stamp. Another casino that not many people heard of is the Plaza Dominicana. Odd denominations of 10, 20, which was very, very unusual at that time. The Embajador, which a lot of us know the name of, the El Embajador in 1971, the records were ordered. Then we have the Embajador Hotel, different name, same location, different owners, from 1977. So I tried to match the chips with the order card. And this is just the relationship between Jay Kozlov and Quito, Ecuador. I cannot imagine what led him to go to Quito, Ecuador. I have no clue. It doesn't make sense. Quito, Ecuador is the other side of the world. This is 1959. So I don't know why he did this. I just can't figure it out. Later on, he went into Suriname, which is across the country of South America, and opened up the Terrora Casino, which I will show you later on in Suriname. Guadalupe, the Burt Company made it for Cairo. And these are very pretty chips with the Mason mold. Oh, no, double squared diamond mold, I'm sorry. Double squared diamond mold. Pretty jetons and plaques from Casino de la Marina in Guadalupe. Haiti, very interesting country. The International Casino of Haiti, original order card was 1959. A lot of things occurred in 1959. Well, we probably know why it did. There's a H.C. Edwards El Rancho Casino, $1, hot stamped. And I heard that there are others from the same country, same casino, El Rancho. No relationship, to my knowledge, to the El Rancho in Las Vegas. These are the tokens that they used. They all had holes in it, and I have no idea why they had the holes. It made them lighter, and the other side of it is totally blank. There's no writing on it, etc. Martinique, another nice island. The Bird Company made the chips for Cairo in 1973. Again, very colorful and very high denominations of their local currency. The Traz Inlet. Puerto Rico, let's get there. I have the original artwork from there showing the chip plus the chip with the inserts. The Caribe Hilton advertisement is dated 1950. So now we know Caribe Hilton was active in 1950. And the bottom chip is a very unusual chip. It's a non-negotiable $25 and $100 chip, which goes with this order card. However, the mold on that chip is a weave mold. The two black dots on the side, for those of you who can't see, are just drill holes. But that is the same chip both sides. So it either was a sample or whatever have you, but it's a nice little discussion piece. Again, Puerto Rico, there's a hotel with a very, very, very small casino, El Inferno, and there are just Christine Jones, hot stamp chips of the 1, 5, black 25s, and orange 100s. Very small casino. The postcard was a gift by Mike Carlo of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico Del Mar, nice HCE chip, nice graphics. Thank goodness to Pete Lowell, who's here in the audience. He wrote the book on black clay die catalog, which hopefully all of you can get. And there are two different dies to make the logo on this pair of dice. Of course, the colors are different, but one says Puerto Rico with the bird, and this other one die says Dorado Del Mar. So everything ties together, the logo of the chip, the logo of the dice, and this is, again, the fun of the hunt to try to put the pieces together. Another casino that we know the date now of the order is 1972. Otherwise, we have no records of when these things were in use. Now we have a record of it. Now we know. And again, that's the fun of the hunt, and it's nice to put the history together. St. Kitts, Lord knows why, they had the J. Mayer's, Bird Company made the J. Mayer's scroll mold, and that was used a lot in England and other countries. But here we have a $1 with a center inlay, a $5 with a center inlay, and a $25 one with hot stamp. Hello? I have no clue why they did that. You would like to see the opposite, lower denominations with hot stamp, but this is from St. Kitts, the Royal St. Kitts. This is a newer Royal St. Kitts. This is Jack Tart. Yes, there are a lot of other casinos on the island. There's not enough time to get into them. St. Martin. I spoke to one of the original dealers, craps dealers, in the Little Bay Beach, and Jake Kozlov had it with his initials here and the logo of Little Bay Beach. The room of that casino was about no more than 20 by 18 feet. It had one craps table and one blackjack table. And the croupiers were dressed in tuxedos. Even this in one room, small room casino. And that happened also with Memorial Beach in Antigua. They were small one rooms. They didn't have poker tables, just plain old craps tables and blackjack, period. Mario Vrolik, who just died a year and a half ago, was one of the original dealers, and he told me that Jay Kozlov sent him and a group of people to the Midwest United States to learn how to deal and become dealers. Why they sent them all the way here to the States, I don't know, but that's what he told me. Now, Great Bay Beach Resort. It's the oldest still running casino in St. Martin. The original, 1984, it's still alive today. Actually, earlier than 1974. It's still the same running casino. These are the Bird Company records with the large key mold. Now let's talk about the St. Martin Isle. These are very interesting chips. The top dated May 5th, 1968. They were the Horsehead Wright Langworthy Company mold made by the Burt Company, which were very common. About 2-3 years ago, they came out in hordes of thousands. So if you want to pick one up, don't pay a lot of money for them. But then, in 1972, with different owners, they actually had the Nevada dice mold by Bud Jones's design, made by the Burt Company. A nice, true Nevada dice mold is absolutely gorgeous. It's like the shiny Hatton mold from Christie & Jones. These are the rare chips, the 1, the 5, and 25. And on a mold, I think it's one of the most beautiful molds, aside from the H.C. Edward mold, Pete, okay? We have the St. Martin Isle documented here with 1968 ordering the Horsehead Wright design of the Langworthy mold. And here we have the 1972 design of the Nevada dice mold. A lot of chatters around by saying the Nevada mold is used by John, James, Sally, and everybody else. This is the original McCoy. This was not used for anything else except ordered in 1972. If there are modern keychain molds or keychain or some other items, that's made afterwards. But this is the original McCoy, original order of them. And they're beautiful chips. The Concord, owned by the same people for the Concord in New York State, Ray Parker. He opened up the casino in Concord in 1971-72, and the chips that were ordered are shown with the Ewing mold. And then a year later, the Ewing mold was used, but with the island scene inside of it, which made a very pretty logo of the inlay. Again, the Burt Company. St. Martin, Great Bay Beach Hotel. I have the $5,000 chip there, which at home is just absolutely gorgeous. But these chips are very plain, yet very regal, and also very scarce. Suriname. Why am I talking about Suriname? Why did I go to Suriname in South America? It's just north of Brazil, between French Guiana and British Guiana. It's hot. It's 4 degrees above the equator. It's hot and humid, but Ralph went there. Why? 2 reasons why. Number one, Jake was there, and I wanted to follow where Jake went. I went to every place except Antigua where Jake went, just to follow his history. But if you get Caribbean books, tour books, you look in the back under the index, you'll see many of them say Suriname on it. So for some reason or other, they're using Suriname as part of the Caribbean. Yes, it's in South America. It's the smallest republic in South America, but I'm using it as part of the Caribbean because there's a lot of history that ties into Jake Kozlov. And there's a postage stamp that those of you can't see it. It's red here. It shows that it's part of the Caribbean organization. So they're calling it part of their organization. Why? Well, number one, the aluminum trade, Alcoa Aluminum Company. And Second World War, we had U.S. troops in Suriname guarding the aluminum mines in Monengo. So there's a lot of American ties there to Suriname. They speak English, they speak Javanese, they speak Chinese, they speak Indonesian. There are 5 different languages that they speak there. This is a picture, postcard, which I happened to buy at a flea market in Aruba. This is a palace. This is the palace of the country of Suriname. Across from the palace here is a little 4-sided pyramid called the Palace Hotel Casino, which was called Palace Hotel Casino because it's right across the lawn from the palace. It's now torn down, but there is some history here. I visited the Suriname Tararica Hotel, and on one of the signs, which you can't read very well, but I took a picture of it, Princess Irene opened it on July 10th, 1962. So we know the exact date of the opening of this hotel casino. And Jake started the casino there. Okay, what did we say about the executive hotels before? What was that? The Starfish logo? Okay. I'm walking through the hotel. All of a sudden, this is a glass door in front of a bar so that you don't hit yourself like a little stick on. And what do I see there? The STARFISH logo. So, of course, I took a picture of it. And now we have the tie-in of Suriname, Cuba, and Aruba by that hotel chain. Suriname, you can't see very well from behind, and the lights are on, but basically, this is the hotel, the original hotel. The only thing they added in the hotel was this little top. This is the palace. This is myself with the manager of the casino. This is typical wood, all wood design buildings in Suriname. This is the Palace Casino, which is a new one, which is the fanciest casino in Suriname. And this is the Ambassador Casino. What happened there? I'm taking a picture with my friend who guided me, and all of a sudden, 2 armed guards come to me, and my knees are shaking. You're not allowed to take pictures of this casino. I'm still shaking. So my friend and I went into the casino, and we spoke to the manager. I told him what I was there for. I showed him my book, and all peace was gotten. And he allowed me to get chips that I wanted. But when they let you get chips in Suriname, they walk you to the cage, and I wanted one of each, so I was able to buy one of each from every one of the casinos in there, but with the manager with me. Why? Well, no one ever did it before. Suriname Casino, wow. The only known chip that I've ever seen, HCE chip saying Suriname Casino, is this chip here. It's a roulette chip. And we also have dice with the Suriname Casino on it. And this was part of the Tarorica Hotel. It's the most modern hotel in 1962. It's still the most modern hotel in 2007. This is the casino. This is my picture I took from the pool area. And those of you who like HCE mold chips, which I do, can see the various denominations. They had 2 ones, 2 different color ones, 2 different 5s, 2 different 25s, but only one $100 chip in blue. And in the Caribbean, some areas, the colors of the chips, not like we have in the States where reds are 5s, etc., but they had different colors, even blacks 5s, as you can see. The one on the right is a Paulson chip of the new vintage type, made about 4 years ago. And the dice here say Tarorica Casino on it, Tarorica on it. The Palace Casino, as we discussed before, is opposite the Palace. Jake opened up the Tarorica Casino, or the Suriname Casino, in 1962. 3 months later, for unknown reasons, he opened up the Palace Casino, which is about a quarter mile away. Why? I don't know, but that's what he did. The earliest known chips that I could find from the Burt Company records were 1963. So what they used in 1962, the kind of chips, I don't know. I'm still trying to find out. Again, that's the fun of the hunt and trying to find the history of the casino. However, I did speak to an original worker in the Tarorica Casino, and he validated the HCE mold that was used in 1962, although I have no written records, Jim, of that manufacturing times. But again, we have gorgeous looking chips. These are Ewing mold chips, but they're beautiful as far as in my eyes are concerned. And the fun again is in the hunt. And this is the original order form of that things from 1973. I'd like to wish to thank, and I'm on time now, Shelley. I'd like to wish to thank Jim Blanchard, literally for his tireless efforts in supplying me with information, and howdy hers. Now, I have more material here, but I'll entertain now some questions, and if there are none, I'll continue. Any, yes?
Puerto Rican chips, why, they keep on saying Puerto Rican chips, they have beautiful chips, they get so many other people, barrels of them, and no value to them. There's 2 different books on Puerto Rican chips, and the fruit value is so much different to them.
You're correct, and you're correct. Why? They're coming out of the vaults, they're coming out of the woodwork. Some are, some aren't. Some are extremely rare. And the ones that are common ones, those have the lesser values. Same with the Cubans. The Cuban chips, yes? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll repeat the question. The question was, I'm sorry, thank you. Why are some of the Puerto Rican chips so high value in the book, yet there are a lot of them around? Is that what your question was? The answer is they were found or they were released and they were not destroyed. and they would come out in dribs and drabs or hordes, just like the Horsehead Right from St. Martin Isle came out in hordes. And if they come out in hordes, then all of us can have one of those chips, which is nice. But the value of it, you know, just like coins in the United States or stamps, sometimes hordes of coins are found in sunken ships. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. Any other questions? Yes, please.
If you can generalize, were the casinos in the Caribbean run as a leased operation and the hotel operators were otherwise, or combined?
Thank you. The question was, were the casino owners and the operators the same or different? In Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, the government owned part of the casino, period. One of the problems that they had in Curacao and Aruba, and why they had so many changes of management, let's use the word management rather than ownership, management was that the country government was asking for taxes. And if you didn't pay your taxes, you'd skip out and you'd leave. Then either another person would enter that casino, or it would be laid bare for a couple of years till someone else went into the casino. So there was government ownership for definite. The Aruba Caribbean Casino, the first casino in Aruba, was a combination of the Aruba government and the Venezuelan people. ARUVEN, A-R-U-V-E-N, Aruba, Venezuela, put together that casino. It was same designers as the nice casinos, nice hotels in Florida, etc. So yes, the government owned part of it, and yes, there were managers. How much take they had, I have no idea how they ran that, but they were government helped run and sanctioned. Any other question? Yes, Don.
Do we know why so many of the casinos in the Caribbean had multiple colors?
Yes, the question is, do we know why the casinos had multiple colors for different denominations? One of the answers was that one color of the $1, $5, $25 chip was on one table, and they had control from another table. But it doesn't make sense to me why they did that.
Was that only roulette, or what were the other table games?
Other table games as well. It didn't make sense. And they had their own roulette chips, which were non-denominational. So they had, in one, like in Puerto Rico, they had maybe 5 to 10 different ones. In Curacao, 5 or 10 different ones. And I was told by the people, the local people, that they had control per table. Now, if I won $300 and I had several different 10 ones, etc., I can't leave the table. What are they going to give me? They may give me the generic $25 chip that can go to other tables. I don't know. But that's what I was told as far as control per table, per take. But if I walked away from the table, now what am I going to do? My guess is in some of the casinos, when you walked away from the table and you had a bunch of chips, they would, if you had $100, they would take all the 1s and 5s, leave them there, and give you a $100 chip. So the count would be on that table. Yes, Don?
My experience in the smaller Curacao casinos, they were not allowed to leave the table with chips. They would go to the cashier for you and present you with currency before you left.
That's another way of looking at it, right. But they had, each table had a color. Yes?
Oftentimes they would mix the denominations, mix the local currency and U.S. dollars were paid. As a tourist, you played U.S. dollars.
The question is, in different countries, I'll take Curacao as an example, they use the florins and the dollars. Hello, I go to the cage, thank you, and I bought for US dollars, let's say 5, a number 5 on it, which would be, it doesn't say florins or dollars. Then I went to cash it in, and I paid US dollars, I get back florins. So I got shortchanged, but you have to be careful. And other casinos had the florins on it and the US dollars on it, and as some of the chips had in the Concord Casino of Aruba, they had bolivars, chips in bolivars and chips in US dollars, so you wouldn't mix the currencies. But I got taken with the chip in the change in currencies. Yes, any other question? Can I have a few? Yes, Shelley. Mm-hmm. The question was the magic number of 1959. I'm not quite sure, but it sounds that way. they must have known something, or insiders. That's why they skipped to other countries. Of course, in Dominican Republic, it was prior to Cuba, etc. But probably is the answer. And the orders, they ordered till mid-1958. So maybe they knew, maybe they didn't know. But my guess is maybe. This is my business card. Before you leave, I'll give every one of you my business card and saying thank you for coming here. That's number one. And these were made by Atlantic Molding, Jim Blanchard, and thank you very much. They're gorgeous designs. You should look at them. There's a little sailboat underneath the DCE. I sail, also part of the Caribbean. I like it a lot. Hope you do too. Let me go to a very unusual chip. Maybe some of you know. That's why I brought this up. The one on the left is an Americana logo. The same logo that they use in the ARUBA Americana Hotel, same logo Americana in Puerto Rico. I got this chip. I have no idea where it was used, but I've never seen another one of them. If anybody else has, please come up to me later on and help me out. The next one is a very nice half-pie dovetail chip from Dorado del Mar, a rather rare chip with a hot stamp on it. The Bahamas. I did some before, but let me go over some of these. They had nice plaques in the Bahamas. And the one on the right, the $20 chip I bought myself at the Paradise Island Casino, was a Baccarat chip. I bought 3 at a time. If I were smart, I would have bought 100 at a time. I didn't have the money. I bought 3, I sold 1 or 2 of them. I still have 1 left. I've never seen it since, but it's an interesting $20 chip. The plaques from the Casino Lucain are also very gorgeous, but the artwork is nice. The Bahamas, of course, the Playboy Club, which we all know, and the Lucain Club. St. Croix, the only casino in St. Croix since 2000 is from the Divi Corporation. And those are the chips. They went through several different designs of usage. One was the chip goes, and then they went to the Bud Jones or GPI. Trinidad Tobago, of course, had their own chips. And part of Trinidad Tobago is the Providenciales. You ever hear that one before? These are the ones, these are those chips. It's part of the Trinidad Tobago. It's a little city of one of the islands. And that's about it. Any other questions? Well, I'd like to thank you, number one, very much for coming. Thank you. I would also like to say that I love the hobby. To try to get the information put together is the fun of the hunt, and I hope all of you have the same fun of the hunt as I am having. Thank you. I have your chips here. Please come up. Please come up, please.
Thank you, Ralph. We have one more seminar tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning. Howdy herds, records, and you can see how important they are. Thank you very much for coming.